The journey to wealth is a long walk, and some people may walk quicker than others. But what good is sprinting to the finish line if you pass out when you cross it? This is Walk to Wealth with your host, John Mendez. Welcome back to the Walk to Wealth podcast. If you're tuning in on YouTube or any of the podcast directories, make sure to do yourself one teeny tiny little favor and make sure to give us a follow, because I don't want you to miss out on any of the amazing guests I got coming on this year. Without further ado, the guest I have coming on this year, I actually had to meet her in person due to some of the public speaking workshops we used to attend. And throughout the years, we stayed in touch, attended more speaking engagements together, shared some stages together, spoke in schools together, and now we finally have her here on the podcast. So without further ado, Solana, for anyone who hasn't had the pleasure, the opportunity to get to know you, to get to meet you, tell us your quick elevator pitch. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Hey guys, I'm Solana. I am a world champion powerlifter and powerlifting and nutrition coach. I also teach public speaking via podcasting. I go in schools all over New York City teaching kids how to podcast from 3rd grade to 12th grade. And I love helping women become the strongest version of themselves and helping kids get over their fears of public speaking.
Amazing. So before we dive into all the amazing stuff you got cooking up right now, I've been switching up the way I do my interviews. And so I want to start off by asking you this. How do you define wealth?
I define wealth as financial freedom, but financial freedom means you're not in unnecessary debt, so you're not stressed, because when I was in debt, I was stressed. So I think unnecessary debt, I think there's bad debt and good debt. I believe that. Everyone does. And then I believe that wealth is you have the freedom to do what you want, and you can work almost at the choice. Like, you don't have to be feeling like I don't have to work ever again, but like you can really dictate your own schedule. You have freedom of time because you have enough money, because money equals more freedom. So
yeah, I agree with you 100%. And so I guess let's get into time machine a little bit. What was the little Solana like? Were you brought up thinking about money? Like, where did these beliefs around money kind of stem from? What was your upbringing like? Just take us back to your early childhood.
Yeah, early childhood, child. So money was a topic you didn't speak about because it was high key stress. Money was always something we never had enough of. Don't ask for anything. Don't ever ask about getting something that costs money in public, even if it's like a hot dog. Just don't do it because mom gonna get pissed off at you. Like, just try to ask for as little as possible, because the answer will likely be, I can't do it. No. You don't need it. Like, so I was scared to ever talk about money, and I was definitely taught to never talk about it. Like, my mom was very big on secrecy, like, never tell anybody how much money you make and how much money you could be making, because they're trying to take advantage of you. Like, just keep it quiet. So that was me all the way through college, really. And then I had a major shift during COVID. So I've always been a saver. Like, I didn't know much about money, but I was like, you should save money so you don't, like, get into a bad situation and have no money. And then, so I heard Dave Ramsey, which I know some people hate him and some people love him, right? So, but he was the first person I ever heard of that talked about money, period. So I was like, okay, get out of debt and then, have an emergency fund. That sounds like a good idea. So I got out of debt right away because I only had like 10 grand maybe in student loans. I had like maybe 12 grand left in my car. I paid it off pretty fast because I had a lot of savings. And I pretty much blew my whole savings on paying everything off. I was like, I'm debt free. And I was like, step 2, emergency fund. So I saved my emergency fund, which took a while. I actually saved it officially this year, like to get all the way up to like 3 to 6 months. But now I actually have a different view of money a bit, because I don't believe everything he teaches. Like, I really look forward to hopefully investing in properties, which I will have to take out loans for. He's like anti-loan. I'm like, I do want to invest in properties. I do want to invest in just other things. Like, I just started investing in the stock market recently. So I'm like trying to learn as much as I can about money. I'm obsessed with it right now.
Yeah, amazing. So you grew up with a very bad relationship around money, right? You don't talk about it. It's stressful. You're not going to get what you want. The answer is probably no. And then it wasn't until the pandemic you mentioned where things started to flip a little bit. You started to see money differently. You had a natural instinct to save. So I'm curious, before we keep going, why do you think that is? What made you, because there's some people who you give them extra money that they don't need and they're just looking for stuff to buy. So where did that kind of saver in you kind of come from?
The saver in me came from, I always had a fear that I'd be living with my parents until I was like 75. Because I would never be able to afford to move out. Like, that was my biggest fear as a kid. I was like, I'll be living here forever. So I was like, if I save, when I'm an adult, I can move out. And that was literally on my mind since I was like 10. Like, I was like, well, because you know what I mean? Like, I had so many family members who were older who lived at home, like in their 30s. And I was like, as a kid, I was like, I feel like it's weird that you're 30 and living at home with like Uncle what's up, whatever. So I was like, I don't want to do that. People on TV, they move out at 18. So that was kind of how I was from TV, I think.
Yeah. So now that's interesting. So you want to move out and you just want to live with your parents forever. So that kind of sparked the saver. And then, all right, so fast forward a little bit. You said you started paying off a debt and you had not too much, about $22,000 in debt that you owed, and you just used your savings, kind of blew your savings on paying that down and getting rid of that, getting to around zero. I think the average net worth, like in your 20s, is like negative something.
It's negative.
Just because most people like, all the school loans and all that stuff. And so most people don't get a neutral net worth until they're in their 30s, generally speaking, which is like kind of crazy because neutral meaning zero. Like most people don't get a zero net worth until, again, in their 30s, which is crazy to think about. So you were paying off that, you started listening to Dave Ramsey, and more importantly, started implementing some of the stuff that he was talking about. And then you built up that emergency fund, that savings fund, that rainy day fund that some people who are like super optimistic call it an opportunity fund because they don't like using negative words, whatever. But you name it, it's all the same stuff. So you started building that up. Talk to us about the importance of having that saved up and the importance of dedication, because you said it took you up until this year to really get that finally like, all right, boom, it's there. Now don't touch, right? So talk to us a little bit about that journey of getting that saved up, because I think a lot of people, again, they don't plan for the unexpected. They don't plan for life to hit them over the head, and next thing you know, car breakdown, emergency medical bill, family member something happened. Like people don't plan for that stuff, and because of that, then I think the average stat is like the average American can't afford a $500 emergency expense. Which when you think about it is actually like kind of crazy to think about. So like talk to us about that again, that process of building up that emergency fund, rainy day fund, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so it took me like 3 years, and my whole thought process was once I have this, I can start learning about stocks, and because I want to just invest, like I want to understand stocks. And I was like, well, I can't do that if like I have a small car issue and boom, like now I'm back to like $4,000 in debt, my credit card, I couldn't afford to fix it. Like it's ridiculous. So I just focused on that. I wasn't investing anywhere else. I wasn't putting money into an IRA, like nothing. Just like put it into the emergency fund. I want to get there. Because in my mind, I'm very like step 1, step 2, step 3. Some people are like, oh, do it all at once. So you can put money in your emergency fund, but also start investing. Like, no. My mind's like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I checked this off. 3 years later, it was hard. My income increased a lot more last year. It's increasing more still, thank God, because I realized that it was taking me so long because like my income wasn't high enough. That's really what it was. Like, so then now that I've gotten there, which took my heart and soul, like every month I would see what I could put in. I was like, okay, and I had the number I wanted and how close I was, and it really helped me to watch like the green that I would color in, go higher and higher. Like, okay, this is my motivation. So
yep.
I finally got there, and now that I'm there, I'm like, yo, I opened up my first brokerage account only like last week, but also I've been IRA for the past 5 months. So I'm like, okay, now I have like saving for my future, and I want to like messing around with like stocks. And then I have a client who's been working in stocks for like 30 years. Like, and he's very well off. Like, I'm talking like he went to Argentina with his son like last second and got business flights to it like last week. And like, I'll be gone for 10 days. I'm just gonna like go on the flight with my son. Mind y'all, I looked up business class flights. Like that was probably like $15,000 each person.
Wow.
Like, and he's like, casually, I'm just gonna go. And I booked the flight like a week out.
Last minute, yeah. No, that's crazy. You mentioned a couple quick lessons in there if I want to share for anyone that's listening that might have not caught it. The first thing is playing to your strengths, right? There's a lot of advice on the internet. Some may resonate you, some may not, right? For example, you said there's people are telling you, oh, you could do all this stuff at the same time, which is 100% true. You could have put some money aside to your savings, and you could have put some money into an investment account, and that could have worked. But, you know, you said you naturally tend to think step 1, step 2, step 3. That just go to show, like, there's no right way. Just play to your strengths. If you're already naturally have a predisposition towards one way or the other, play to that, right? Don't have to do what everyone else says just because everyone else says it. You'll get to it when you get to it. And if you're playing to your strengths, you're probably going to get to it a lot faster anyways. So so that's the first lesson I want to kind of share for anyone else listening. And then the second thing that you mentioned is open up a brokerage account. So that's not common language. So for anyone that's listening, a brokerage account, this is a big misconception. I hear a lot of people. It's like, oh, I just got to put money in my retirement account. I just got to put money in my 401k. I just got to put money in my whatever. And that is half the battle. Once the money is in the account, you then have to put that money to work. You have to distribute that money into some sort of investment. So let's say you go to Fidelity, which is a company that offers brokerage accounts, and you open an account with Fidelity. Then you put a bunch of money into Fidelity. That money isn't going to grow. It's only going to grow if you put it to use and put it into some sort of stock or index fund or ETF, you name it, precious metals, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the second thing I kind of wanted to hit before anyone, in case you're listening, in case this may be new to you. But yeah, so cool. So now we're kind of, I'm going to take a little bit of a pivot. You've been an entrepreneur for as long as I've known you personally and longer than that. So take us back a little bit. High school Solana, right? You grew up with all these money beliefs around money. Money's it's stressful. We don't have it. Don't ask people for much. Coming out of high school, what was your kind of thought process? I know you didn't want to live with your parents for forever. So, that was flying in the back of your mind. Where was your thought process in terms of next steps for you coming out of high school graduation?
Okay, so I was always told the steps in life are you go to high school, then you go to college, right? And then you're supposed to work really hard in college, and that's going to make sure you're successful enough to make it, which, as we now know, doesn't always happen, especially as an entrepreneur. Like, I'm really happy I got my college degree because it is relative to what I do. It's an exercise science. And I realized that I could have not gotten that degree and be exactly where I am right now because it wasn't needed for what I do. But yeah, that was my thought process, go to school. And at first I was like, I want to go away. Again, TV really influences.
Glamorizes
like,
all the...
Yeah, I was like, I got to go far away and do all these things. And I was very angry. My parents didn't want me to do that. But my first year I did go away, but it was still to a Christian school that was small and I had some grants towards it. And then after that first year, I moved back home and went to Montclair State and just commuted. And I'm so thankful to God I did that because that's how I left college with like 10 or 12 grand in debt versus like 45 grand. And as I'm sitting here at 29, I'm like, yo, 45 grand is a lot of money to pay off versus 10. Like, I'm so happy I didn't do it. But that was my thought process. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to college and then that's going to be the way I make it. And like, I graduated, got a job at Equinox as a personal trainer, which connected to exercise science. In my first year, I think I made like 11 grand. I was like, oh my God, like I didn't make it.
Yeah, it's funny too, because for anyone that is listening, I kind of got to hear the backstory of like the Equinox job. So like I know a little bit more personally, but like, yeah, it's crazy how we could work so hard for something that we dreamed of only to get there and realize like it was not all it cut out to be. Right. And there's so much that we didn't sign up for. And had we known what we were getting ourselves into, we probably would have taken a different route. But, everything kind of happens for a reason. And the reason I say that is because, like, for me, I think I think you know already, but I got my real estate license. So similar to you, like when I left school, I was thinking, because I dropped out to get my real estate license. So I'm thinking, man, I'm about to start running this up. I'm about to be selling all these $1 million properties. Connecticut, like Lower Fairfield County is a very high price point area. So I was like, I don't even got to sell that many houses. I just got to sell a few and I'm balling. Only to come to find out my first year, like there was so much BS that comes with being a realtor that I just didn't really care for. And then again, I had some momentum with the social media, ended up pivoting. So to kind of bring it back to you. So you got the Equinox job. It didn't turn out how you dreamed it was going to all play out. Talk to us about the transition from the personal training from Equinox to branching off into your own thing for anyone that didn't hear the story.
Yeah. Well, I've never told the whole story, even in speaker school, bro, because I worked at Equinox for it was 3 years into it because it was 4 years total. My third year, I started going to these random workshops that were like training related. just to learn more.
This is before the networking events that you started going to?
Yes, like before 2020. This is like 2018. I started going to these events that were personal training workshops. Mm-hmm. Met a guy named Angelo, and we just hit it off talking, like he was just friendly. And then a year after that, so now we're on year 4 Equinox. Now we're in 2019. All right? 2019. I'm talking to him on Instagram, and he mentions that he could use some help at a personal training studio. He has he was an independent trainer. So he had clients that, like, he charged whatever he wanted and paid a small fee just to have them at that space. He was like, hey, I have too many clients. Like, I need to pass them off to somebody. Are you interested? I was like, bro, I'm making $20 or like $27 per hour. This man's charging $100, paying $10 for the hour to rent the space and making $90. I'm like, yes, I'm interested. Show up, and he like took me underneath his wing. I quit Equinox like 2 months later, took like 4 clients with me, which is not a lot, but they were all twice a week. But to go from $27 an hour with them to like 80, I was like, yo, I made back what I was making at Equinox with like 10 clients before moving over here. So I was like, yo, that was step 1 to becoming an entrepreneur, becoming an independent trainer. Thank you to Angela, who we still talk to this day. And he like changed so much for me. And then I kept doing it. Then COVID hit, and it was like illegal to train people in person. And that was when I fully went online and started advertising an online coach. And that was still just for personal training, not fully powerlifting. Like I was still powerlifting a lot. I was already a world champion at that point, but I was not confident in getting powerlifting clients. So I spent 2020 just posting about being an online coach, and then I pivoted to only posting powerlifting content, and that was really how I got started with full on having an online powerlifting business.
That's crazy, because like you really never know. Like I still remember my first time charging for a class, and like realizing like, yo, I could make some real money from this, and like that's kind of like what you had, that epiphany, like, yo, I could make some real money, like this little hourly rate that I was making. Right, barely getting by. There's people out there, and I feel like that first aha moment is really game changing, because like I think that's what makes most of entrepreneurs realize, all right, let me stick it out, because there's someone out there that's doing it, right? And he, like you mentioned, like he was making almost 4 times what you were making, or 3 times after the rent for the you take away the rent, but still, right? There's so much more room, and he was doing the same exact stuff. And like I feel like I've had so many moments throughout my entrepreneur journey, and I'm still like a baby technically, right, as an entrepreneur, but like so many moments where I was just like, damn, like, yo, I could be raising my prices up so much more. I remember I had this one lady, she was talking to me, and God bless her, name is Christine. This is the first time I ever had a conversation like this. She was just like so confident. She was like, John, you know, you're a talented young guy, right? If you have any aspirations to make a millionaire at all, at minimum, you should be charging at least $500 an hour. I was like, $500 an hour? So what you're telling me is if I send you this Calendly invite with 500 after it, you're going to cough up your credit card. And I say that jokingly, but like in the back of my head, that's the kind of low-key how I was thinking. I was like, yo, $500 an hour? Like, there's people really out there charging that. And of course, they're not charging for an hour. They're charging for the value they provide, which is kind of how you kind of got to wrap your head around it. Because if you're just thinking as like a regular person, like $500 an hour, you better be making gold, right? Like, you better freaking be having magic appear and freaking, you know. Yeah. But like to the entrepreneur, to the business owner, to the person with a big problem, if you could solve that, a lot of people will gladly pay that and more. But like, it's not until you have someone to kind of come into your life and kind of like plant that seed in you and, you know, give you that aha before your brain really starts to work, and then the gears start turning like, yo, I could be making so much more, and I'm so, like undervaluing my stuff entirely. So
what if one tool was all you need to start your business and make your first 6 or 7 figures? See, I was never entrepreneurial growing up, and after starting my first business, I spent the first 2.5 years completely lost. Nothing worked for me until I found Kajabi. See, if you offer coaching, courses, if you have a private community, if you want to start a podcast, a newsletter, a blog, if you have a membership community, Kajabi has you covered. They have everything you need to start, scale, and sustain your business all in one. So I want to offer you a free strategy session where we'll talk about your business, your goals, and how Kajabi can help you all you have to do is use the link in the description, and as an extra bonus, I'll get you a free 30-day trial to test out Kajabi. Normally, they only offer 2 weeks, so hurry up, click the link in the description. With that being said, let's get right back into this episode. I'm curious for you. So you had that mentor, again, for anyone that's listening, another perfect example of why mentors are so important. But so you had the mentor, you ended up transitioning into full-time during the pandemic. What was kind of your thought process navigating through that time period? Because you could have said, oh, damn, personal training, I can't do that. Let me go get a job real quick. But you figured out a way to convert it onto online. So talk to us about like your headspace and where you were at in that March, May-ish 2020 when the whole world shut down.
Yeah. So the world shuts down. We stuck at home. I'm home with my parents, my sister, a small baby, and my dog. And I'm like, oh, being here 24/7, I'm going to lose my mind. Hold on. I got to leave. Right? And I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? Like, I just lost my job, right? But you know how they were doing those little monthly, oh, if you sign for unemployment, some people got it, some people didn't. Like, some people who really lost their job didn't get it. But I got it. I got it. So it's coming in, and I'm like, it's still less than I was making. But I started also charging a little bit for some group classes. Like, I was doing whatever I could online for any amount of money. I was like, $10, come and do a group class. I didn't teach group classes. I was on Zoom just jumping around. I didn't care. I was like, I got to figure this out. Like, I just lost.
You got to figure it out somehow. I got to get to it.
Yeah, because my one-on-one clients, like, I offered them immediately to go online, but they weren't quick to do that. They were like, it might die down. Let's just see what happens with this whole pandemic thing. Like, we don't know. So it took me a few months to get the people who I was seeing every week online, because they were like in a weird phase of, I don't know. And I don't know if I want to pay for this, because like, what if I lose everything? So I'm doing that. I'm saving the money. I'm like, okay, I've got two options. I can stay at home and just be stressed out about trying to keep building my business, but the environment at home made it hard for me to even think clearly about building my business, because like, there was just too much happening in that small house that I can't do this. And honestly, I love my parents, but they were not for me being an entrepreneur, so they were kind of like shutting down my ideas for it. And I'm like, I'm just constantly surrounded by this negativity. I was like, or I can use the money I'm getting from the government for doing nothing, move out, and then have my own space to think clearly. And then at that point, even though I was making just enough money to like pay somebody's rent and put food in my fridge, that's it. Like, that's the amount of money I made. That's it. I was like, that will push me, because I know whenever push comes to shove, I'm either going to burn all my ships and go for it, or I'm just going to like maybe just fail. But worst case scenario, if I fail, I drive my sorry butt back home. Like, that's my worst case scenario, bro. Like, that's kind of what's nice about being single with no kids. Like, no offense, but like, there was the worst case scenario is I'm living in my car going back home. So I did that during 2020. I moved out July 4th. Remember, pandemic hit second week of March, April, May, June, July. 4 months later, I've got a realtor. They helped me get to an apartment. I move out, and I just went all in on my business. I was posting every single day. I hired a business coach, but she was someone who's also a friend of mine, so she did it for a very discounted rate. I couldn't really afford like a true business coach. Like, she was like, I'm just starting, trying to figure this out myself. I'll help you for a low rate. And I did everything she said. But really, the main thing was post every day. I made my podcast, started posting that, put that content out every day. And somehow, by God's grace, even during a pandemic, I got one client here, one client there, one client here. And I was like, I'm going to at least make enough to make it by. So I just kept going with that. And now it's, 5 years later, and now I have a full roster of athletes.
That's amazing. So there's a lot of nuggets there to unpack. First, for anyone listening, I want you to make sure you're catching everything. All right. The first nugget that really stuck out to me is that you got to get scrappy sometimes as an entrepreneur, right? $10 group classes, jumping around on the Zoom camera, right? Sometimes you just got to make a play happen, right? You might not be in the best financial situation, that everything might be, pushing you against the ropes. You may be backed to the corner. You got to figure out some plays every now and then. It could be coming from thin air. You could just be throwing some Hail Mary, whatever it is. But like, when money gets tight as an entrepreneur, like, your ability to be creative and figure out, like, how can I make a little quick buck here and there, and ethically, of course, like, it's so crucial to like the longevity of your entrepreneurship journey, because there's so many times where you'll have a dry spout or life is lifing, and like, you just need a quick little re-up, to just keep you going just for a little bit longer until you figure it out, right? Especially if you're not charging like monthly retainers, right? Let's just say you charge one-offs. Then it's even more important because you don't know if one month it could be the best month or the next month could be the worst month. And so I remember one time, one of the plays I hit last year, I was like, I know how to use AI. What if I just create content calendars for everyone? And so I did like a Black Friday sale. I was like $97 for you, whoever wants it. I'll sit down and create a 12-month content calendar for you, personalized to your business. I think I had like 14 people buy or something, like 13 people buy over Black Friday weekend. But like, God knows I needed that money bad. And that like helped me get afloat as long as I needed till the rest of the money that I knew was coming in came in. So that's the first thing, is you got to be able to be scrappy. Second thing, sometimes decisions that don't seem on paper financially responsible are actually the best thing that you could do for yourself. Now, what I'm not saying is go out and make some financially irresponsible decision, but like you mentioned, the peace of mind that you got from being in your own space was worth you not having any extra money on the table afterwards, paying rent and food. And so like, if you know you're not in your best working conditions, sometimes, and again, not all the time, make sure you do some real thinking and assess whatever your situation you're in, but like it's worthwhile to consider you being in your optimal conditions may be worth you having to suck it up and sacrifice some things and put yourself in a little bit more like a financially uncomfortable situation just for that peace of mind, just for that bandwidth you can get back. And if you know your home environment isn't the best, again, breaking free from that, even if it costs you more than what you're ready or willing or able, might be worth it in the long run, because then you'll be able to be so much more productive and creative and have so much more energy and have so much more freedom to actually move and operate how you'd like to. So that was the second big lesson I kind of got from that. And then the third big one I kind of got is, 5 years later, you're still doing your thing, right? You got a full roster. And that just kind of goes to show you never really know what it can all plan out to be. If you don't go all in, you're never going to get that answer. And the good thing about going all in is that you'll get your answer quicker, right? If you're on the fence, it probably would have taken you another 3, 4, 5 years to get, a full roster of athletes. But no, you decided to say, hey, burn the boats, let me go all in. And from there, you were able to get to that answer and ended up working out in your favor. But even if it didn't work out, you would have got to that answer sooner so that you could have then reassessed, pivoted, and went on to the next venture and go from there, instead of having this, half dead, lazy kind of business which gets a little bit of money but never enough to really satisfy you or help you really thrive for real. So those are kind of the lessons I kind of shared. And I'm just curious, like, you kind of brought us fast forward to today, right? So I guess, where is everything going now? Because again, you mentioned earlier when you introduced yourself, you're still doing the coaching, you're still doing all the online stuff, but now you're also helping the youth, right, with podcasting and public speaking and confidence. And so that just tell us about like, and then for your public speaking, you're talking about like, getting back your time and preventing burnout and stuff like that. So tell us about all the amazing things and how they're all kind of coinciding and working together.
Yeah. So we get to the end of 2023, right? And well, actually, all right. So it was 2023 that I lost my sister. She passed away from cancer in October. And that year was really tough. Like, my business started going down a little bit. Like, I still took care of all my current athletes, but I couldn't grow it because I was very stressed out with just helping a lot with my family, right? So she passed away. And I remember after that happened, I said, I'm going to figure out what else I'm going to add to my business. I don't know if it's going to be like powerlifting related, but I was like, I'm ready to do something else and have my business plus something else. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And I'd never been to a networking event before, but my friend Delaney Wallace, who was already networking, is like, you should go to a networking event, right? And mind you, actually think about it, I started networking back when I met Angelo, because that's how I got the whole personal training thing, which I never really thought about. So I go to networking events, and that's where I meet Brandon, who's our speaker coach or teacher speaking school. Go there, and I'm like, sure, maybe I'll be a personal, or maybe I'll be like a speaker. I never thought about that. I've been doing podcasting, but it's not the same. It's not the same, y'all. Speaking to people in public is not the same. One is scary and one is easy. I'm sorry. So I go to the speaker school, and that's where I meet Carl. And then fast forward like 3 months later, my now business partner, Carl, he works in schools in New York City. and he offered to have me come out to one school to teach podcasting. And I'm like, sure, why not? Because I was just saying yes to anything. Any opportunity I can't wait. Like, I'm saying yes this year. It's my year to say yes. It's my year for me. I spent last year focused on family. Now it's me and family still, but like, it's me first now. So I go and I'm like, hold on, I like this. Not only do I like it, but I noticed that Carl's business could use some organization. And I'm very type A. Like I said, I'm 1, 2, 3. You can't skip step 2. It doesn't work. I'm very regimented. So I'm very organized. And so I basically was like, hey, if you ever need more help with this, let me know. I'm very willing to help you. He reached out to me. He's like, I think you could be a good partner for me. Can you help me reach out to these schools? Once he did that, and this is now October of 2024. Once he said, like, can you help me reach out to schools? He gave me a list. I started calling schools every day, like 10 schools a day, calling everybody. I'm booking contracts. I'm like, yo, this is working. I'm booking contracts. I'm like showing up with him to the schools. And I'm like, I love this. This is gonna be what I do. Like, I'm going to go all in and go 50-50. Now is my business is half, and then my other half is speaking in school because this is just fun. And like, if it's funny, you like it, and it's bringing in income, why not do it? So that's kind of how it all started. Where I was like, I just want to figure out something else to do. Let me just talk to as many people as I can. And I can't believe that that was my second networking event ever. That I went to where I met Brandon, but I can't believe how quick it happened. But also, I will be honest, I don't think I've ever told anyone this before, but I remember about to go to a networking event. It cost $150, right? Now, mind y'all, I thought $150, I still do. Okay, $150, I was like, that's kind of pricey to like talk to people. I'm like, I'm going here just to talk to people. I've never spent money to talk to people before. But I had this heavy feeling. I was like, I wonder if like it'd be crazy. This night like changed my life. Like, I'm not kidding. I was like, this would be so crazy. Cause like, what the hell am I doing? Like going to a networking event. And that night was the start to changing my life. So now I have 2 careers. Like, I work with schools every single week. I'm booking contracts as many times as I can per day. I called 10 schools before I got on the call with you. But I love it. And I get to impact kids. And also, it works well because I work from home as an online powerlifting coach. So I can do both.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think to your point, like, I'm also of the mindset, like, yeah, $150 for a networking event, that is a little. And once it gets over like $40-$50, I'm like, damn, do I get some food at least, like free drinks, cash bar, like open bar, like, well, what's included in all this, And so that's also part of the reason for my events why I charge $30. Is like $30 is like that perfect price point where like no one really is sweating $30, like. And if you use a discount code, it's really 25. So like, it's really just like a quick little Apple Pay, and you get a drink ticket or whatever it is. And most people not even think about it. But yeah, it's crazy how I think with a lot of networking events, sometimes it's just like the getting out of your comfort zone, investing in yourself. It's just like, it's almost kind of like a reminder, like, yeah, this is 150, but also I'm worth it, And like, you never know what'll come out for it. So like, kudos to you for, getting out of your comfort zone. Again, I kind of heard the story a few times, but for anyone listening, like, you never know what'll come from a networking event. And even if you meet nobody, just that breaking the pattern of the norm of not going to these events, like, just breaking that pattern, getting out of your comfort zone. Even if you don't meet nobody, that could just trigger almost like a butterfly effect for like, you wanted to go to more events, you wanted to invest more in personal development, or maybe you go to the networking event, you have an awful time, and you're like, screw it, I'm gonna make my own networking event, right? And get my own events going. And so you really will never know what'll come from it. And then the next thing that you hit on, right? You love it, you enjoy it, you're making money with the talking in schools. There's a quote I love. It's, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right? And so it's super important to, of course, make money, but also enjoy what you're doing. At least try to find ways to enjoy what you're doing. Or if you don't enjoy what you're doing, figure out a strategy so that you can pay doing what you actually enjoy doing, right? Whether that's overnight, whether that takes you 6 months, 3 years, 10 months, it doesn't matter, but come up with a game plan to get out of the situation you're in and get into a situation where you can do something like Solana, where she still is making money with her primary business and then also now making extra money with something that doesn't even feel like work, but then also doesn't compromise her schedule at all. So she can easily juggle both. And so I'm curious. So now you're in a position where, right, you mentioned earlier, you just built your emergency fund. You mentioned this too, that this year you're on track to do better than last year. right? You have more speaking engagements. You have more schools that you're in. You have, again, you already have the full roster of clients. Now, like, big picture, where is Solana kind of moving with all this stuff? Where are you going with everything?
Where am I going with everything? Okay. So when it comes to my business, the goals I really have is how many of my athletes make it into national meets right now. So right now I maintain about 30 athletes, and I think I might push to 35 because I feel like I got the flow of doing both jobs, so I can push it more. I had 2 of my athletes going to nationals. No, my bad, 3 athletes go to nationals this year, and I want 2026 to be a year where I have at least 7 athletes go, because that's more than double. So that's my goal for that. And then along with that, just like impact the community in a positive way. I still volunteer at meets. I still love meeting people. I don't want to lose that where I'm so busy that I stop meeting people, because it just makes me love the sport. So those are my 2 main things for powerlifting. When it comes to schools, me and Carl have some big goals. So this year, I want to make sure that we're in at least 75 schools. It's only September, so the school year started September, right, for the first week. Right now, we are in 12. It's looking like we could be in about 16 by the end of next week. So that's way better than last year, because I started in October. So I got this beautiful head start where I started contacting people in the summer. Y'all, by the way, principals work all summer long. Like, didn't know that. I got to book contracts in the summer for schools. Couldn't believe it. So I'm like, I got a head start. There's no excuses. I want to get as many schools as we can. And that way, we can actually provide more jobs for people. Because right now, we actually have 2 people working for us who are going to schools that I booked for them. And we can't be everywhere at once. So I'm like, we get to provide jobs for people. And that's beautiful, because I would love it. I would have loved it if someone was like, you like teaching podcasts and you like kids? Here's a good amount of money, go into school and do it. Like, that's a beautiful thing. Like, we're in economically hard times, John. All right. The fact that we have the opportunity to provide some jobs for people, like, it makes me so happy. So I want to be in 75 schools and provide jobs for friends and people that I believe are great with their voice, love kids, and will be a good job at it.
Mic check, mic check, mic check. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Sorry, my mic is acting up. But that's so dope. Yeah, I agree with you. It's one thing, and I'll steal Carl's quote, right? Because that's your business partner, right? Success is when you are impacting yourself, I think, as he says, and significance is when you can impact others or something like that.
You got it.
And so, you guys are both a testament to that. You're, again, providing opportunities for other people. I got to go to one of the schools earlier this year, and it was so cool. Like, the little kids was asking me a bunch of questions. It was like, hey, I wanted to talk about your AI business. I'm like, oh, yeah, y'all came prepped. Y'all did research. All right. And then the little kids came in ready with some questions. I was like, oh, that's what's up. But, yeah, no, to your point, it's so dope to see it. One of the things that I do a couple of things on the side I don't really talk much about, but like I've been mentoring students at UConn, the Source campus, virtually for I think this is my 7th semester.
Oh my gosh!
I started doing that. Yeah, so each semester I usually get paired up with like 2 or 3 students or something like that, and hop on a few calls with them, help them talk about what it is that they want to do in college, and help them get some clarity and stuff like that. But I've been doing that again for I think this is my 7th semester. That I just started doing that this past semester in spring. I actually got to go up to UConn and then talk to. They have like an entrepreneurship group. So each kid, I think they got like I think it's like a group of 10 of them, and they got each like a $4K scholarship or something like that for any business venture that they're working on. So I got to talk to them, and then I got to meet one-on-one with a handful of students as well. So it's dope getting to impact that the next generation. And I say the next generation, but these kids are like literally like a couple years younger than me, so I'm not too far off. But like, I still remember when I was in college, like I never was the typical entrepreneur, but like I always had these thoughts of like I don't want to take the traditional track, right? I didn't know how to run a business or even have thoughts of like selling anything, but I knew working a corporate job till I was 65 wasn't the route for me. And so like my goal now is just to kind of help people. And that's why I keep this podcast going again. People look at me so funny all the time. Like, John, you haven't monetized your podcast. You've been doing it for so long. It's like, yeah, that's not really the point of why I'm doing it though. The AI business, that's how I get paid. But this is just because I love doing it, because I enjoy doing it. If that turns into something down the road, yeah, but I'm not going to force it, just for the sake of making money, because I could do that with my AI stuff. But Solana, I've been having a great time catching up with you. Where can we find you at for anyone that wanted to learn more about what it is that you offer, and when that wanted to get into powerlifting potentially, or maybe get into speaking at schools? Tell us, where can we find all things Solana?
So I'm always on Instagram, Solana, SOLANA_lifts, LIFTS. My powerlifting nutrition business, you can go to strengthsolutionsinc.com, apply right there. You get a free consult with me. And that's it.
Nice and simple. Nice and simple. So now it's time for our famous 5 questions. Same 5 questions I ask every single guest that hops on. Question number 1 is, what is the most impactful lesson you've learned in life?
Oh, the more you talk to people, and the more you talk to them with the intent of helping them and not just what's in it for you, the more you'll actually receive.
What is the most admirable trait a person can have?
Being honest.
If you had to change someone's life but only had one book, which would you recommend?
How to Win Friends and Influence People. For sure. You treat people well, you'll make it farther in life every time.
What is the legacy that you're working on leaving behind?
Legacy. I want to impact as many women as possible to become stronger. That's actually why I'm making my book, Why Women Should Powerlift, right? Like, if women look to me when they think of strong, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, that just gives me so much joy.
And for anyone that wants to embark on their walk to wealth today, what is the first step you recommend they take?
I say if you have unnecessary debt that's dragging you down, really aim to get out of it. Like, I think people are like, oh, whatever, I'll pay when I'm dead. I'll just die with me. I'm like, no, when you're debt-free, you can really put your money wherever you want at that point.
Yeah, it frees up so much bandwidth, too, not knowing that you don't have an unnecessary bill creeping at you at the end of every single month. So I agree with that 1,000%. Solana, thank you so much for hopping on. Thank you for sharing your stories, your lessons, the experiences that you've been through. And for anyone that's listening, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Hopefully you take a ton of valuable nuggets from this episode, and I will see you in the next one.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Walk to Wealth podcast. There's an old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So make sure to hit that subscribe or follow button so we can continue on our journey to wealth together. And again, I'm your host, John Mendez, and I'll see you on the next episode.